do a serious poem for you. In the middle, we've had some wonderful laughs this morning. This is probably we all end up as poets with a bit of a signature poem, and I figured that over the years this has become mine. I sometimes have people request this. This came about after listening to a wonderful wartime short story by the English author Graham Swift, when I realised that torment is felt by women during wartime, no matter who they are or where they live. And my version of this is set in rural Australia in the 1940s and tells of a young wife just trying to get by in very difficult circumstances. It's called The Shirt. It was hanging in the hallway on a hook within her sight and was there for easy access as she wore it every night. But it didn't fit her body. It caused her silhouette to blur, for the shirt this woman treasured so did not belong to her. He left it hanging in his wardrobe when he went to fight the war, and at first she didn't notice it, tucked in behind the door. It was his very favourite, though white and quickly stained, and the need to wash it constantly made conversation strained. But now that he was gone, the choice would be her own, a long soak in the copper to be fresh when he came home. Yet something stopped her actions, just a scent she knew quite well. His pheromones, his salty sweat, that old familiar smell from hours felling timber, from fencing in the sun, from shearing sheep and drenching until all the mob was done. He'd been gone for 20 months now, yet it seemed like many more, even though she counted every day her man had been at war. The copper had gone cold as she held the shirt aloft, breathing in his lingering scent from the gently drifting waft. But her hand would not unclench, so the shirt remained bone dry. That night she slipped it on, pulled it tight around her thigh. The knock came unexpected. He stood rigid at the door. "Can I come in, Rose?" he asked her. His demeanour was unsure. It was a strange request to enter his own house. "You're home, my love," Rose gushed in sweet relief to see her spouse. "Can I come in, Rose?" Not Rosie. His face was tense and tight. "I got shell-shocked, they reckon. I'm home until I'm right." She'd never heard of shell-shock. Was it a bad complaint? But when he stepped inside, he lost control of his restraint. "What's this then?" he yelled at her. "What's happened all these days?" She reeled back confused until she tracked his line of gaze to the shirt in the hallway all stained and hanging there. "So some other bloke's worn my shirt. Did you think I wouldn't care?" There was not the chance to say that he was with her in their bed. This shell-shock stuff was nasty, really messing with his head. "You didn't think I'd notice? Didn't care if I felt hurt? Boil the copper right now and wash the bloody shirt." He stood over her quite menacing as she did as she was told. He even dragged the iron out and watched her press each fold. Then he snatched the hanger from her and marched into their room. He didn't seem himself at all. What had happened to her groom? The man she loved, the gentle soul who'd cared for farm and stock, the man who'd answered country's call, her soulmate, her rock. The next 2 months were arduous. The small things made him rile. She begged him to work on hobbies that once used to make him smile, to stroll across the paddocks and fish at Wallace Lake, to wear his favourite shirt again, have a well-earned break. There was no other man for her. Given time, she might explain that she had worn his shirt herself to take away her pain. But where to have the conversation? When is his mind clear? Whilst droving cattle through the bush or hunting feral deer, she tried to many times, but to him the words weren't true. No loving gestures could erase the truths he thought he knew. After 2 months in his company, although the shirt was worn, the smells it caught were not the same. The magic had been torn, for they represented anger now, distrust and dismay. Deep in her heart she knew her loving man had gone astray. Then away he went to war again. The doctor said he could. Some troops were leaving for up north. Back on the step he stood. I'll be off now, Rose, hooroo, you'll hear how I get on. And without a kiss, or by your leave, her soldier man was gone. It took another 3 months for the telegram to arrive. She could have told the army he had no will to survive. She tried to cry, to mourn for him, but the tears would not flow, for the soldier in this missive had died 2 years ago. She was angry for the loss, the futility of war, and now she didn't even have the essence he once bore. The shirt was there, still hanging up, stained from 2 months' leave. She lit a fire, burned the cloth, then slumped in a chair to grieve.